Episode 9 is Blackie, also known as Stuart Black. Blackie's a former Elgin City goalkeeper. He also played in the Highland League for Lossie and most recently up here at Dufftown. He's currently playing for Harrogate Railway down in England. Blackie was at Elgin for many years. He's got quite a few good stories about his time, different coaches and different players he played with. And speaks a little bit about his idols and actually getting to meet his idols. There seems to be something about goalkeepers as well. They're quite generous people. Blackie's also given me some gear for my goalkeepers for our development squad, for our welfare team. So we appreciate that. I hope you enjoy the episode. Episode 9, we're back after the Christmas break. Welcome back to the Football Journals. My first guest back is Stuart Black. How are you, Blackie? Thank you for coming in.
You're very welcome.
You've actually travelled a long way to meet us today.
Do you know what? see when you said, do you want to come on? I was like, yes, absolutely, 100%. I'm coming on. I don't care where I am in the world at the moment. I was coming on. So yeah, Darlington.
Yeah.
Came up after work last night. Darlington's not far, considering I play for the Harrogate Railway.
Yeah.
It's another hour south, but with the way things have worked out, it's perfect timing actually.
Because I was going to mess you Thursday. I'm like, this snow's not kind of disappearing. Are you sure about this? And then it kind of cleared up. I'm like, no, we need to get going. So I'm glad you're my first episode back. I said to you as I was messaging you, I've got like a little soft spot for goalkeepers. I was a goalkeeper as a kid. You got to be a bit of a character to be a goalkeeper, or a bit of it's a lonely position at times.
Yes, especially up here.
My first question is always the same question, but I just kind of want to get in a little bit first about why goalkeeping. So,
Alan Main. Do you know, I used to tell people that one of my earliest memories of actual football and actual goalkeepers was Fabian Barthez. And I couldn't really pinpoint why. Like this was young. This was like 7, 8, 9 years old, and tell people, yeah, I've seen Fabian Barthez play, and I put it down to McDermott Park being opened by Man United and St Johnstone, but that happened in 1989.
Yeah.
So that's clearly bullshit.
Yeah.
And then it dawned on me. I'd seen the picture online of Fabian Barthez and Alan Main in the McDermott Park tunnel. And then I kind of put 2 and 2 together. My first ever game, I assumed, was a St Johnstone Rangers game because it was loud, it was noisy, I didn't like it. And Monaco played in that half and half red and white, but going across the way. And Rangers quite often had kits like that.
Yeah.
I was like, no, my first game was St Johnstone Monaco, 3-3.
That's mad.
It's nuts.
It's a big game.
A massive game. And bless him, my dad took me out because I hated it. The atmosphere was too loud, it was too noisy, I hated it. So we sat on the hill at Tesco and, you could only see a little bit of the ground, but we watched the game from there. And then, I don't know what happened. After that, I caught the bug. And then it was the goalies. It was the goalies that caught my attention. And I say Alan Main because he was the number 1 at the time, but it was Kevin Cuthbert, the young number 2 that had come in. I thought, this guy's really good.
Yep.
And then they kind of, I don't want to say they pied him off. They got Ludovic Roy in. And again, I don't know if it was just his name. I don't think I ever actually seen him play. I believe his 2 games were both away from home. But just flicking through the programme and seeing pictures of him, like, oh, that looks quite nice. And then we got, God rest his soul, we got Alan Miller in. Funnily enough, Middlesbrough connection as well, because I work in Middlesbrough now as well. Literally, I could throw a stone from my work to the Riverside Stadium.
Yeah.
It's funny how things work out, but yeah, I just thought goalies looked awesome. They just looked. It was nothing to do with the diving about in the mud. It was just
kits and things like that.
Yeah,
a bit different, wasn't it?
Yeah, just different.
Yeah. No, that's I was a little bit the same when I was a kid. Like my hero when I was a kid was Rab Douglas. Like just the sheer size of Rab Douglas.
Big boy.
I wanted to be Rab Douglas. Like my dad had really big hands. And I remember Rob Douglas had really big hands, and you always look up to your dad and things like that. And I just thought, I'm going to develop into Rob Douglas. Never. Like, I'm 5'8" now, I'm nowhere near the size of Rob Douglas, but he was, and, Rob Douglas wasn't the strongest of keepers, but he was just like, whoever was the number one in your boyhood team was your idol, wasn't it?
Yeah.
It could have been anyone. It's just your boyhood team, your number one. And your number two, you could always name the number two. Like, our number two was Magnus Hedman. He was another big lad. Like, I had no chance. I had no chance. But, okay, we're going to go back to my original format, because I had to come away for the last 2 episodes, let's just say, from my format a little bit. Because I've had Alan and Frazee on, and I'm going to have to come a little bit away for the format tonight, because we've got some stories that are going to go both ways, Stuart. But how good a football player were you as a kid, and what age did you kind of get spotted at?
Do you know what the best way to answer that is? I really don't know. When I say I was late to football, I didn't really take to it. Your audience is going to love this. I'd love trains. When I was growing up, I loved trains. I wanted to be a train driver. And then all the boys were playing football at school, and I still wanted to go and play with my trains. But nobody wanted to play with me, so I started playing football.
Aye.
And then, so I would say probably primary 2, so probably about 6, 7-ish, primary 2, primary 3, I really took to football, and my mum would put me to these, like football camps and football things that kind of run through the day and that, and St Johnstone were really good with the community. I always say that they're the first community club. They had their first Astro pitch outside their stadium, one of the first clubs to do that, and they would hold this big training event on this Astro. You pretty much just like 8 pitches, just go ham, play football, and whoever's the best got the wee green card.
Yeah, oh man, the green cards.
And I very rarely got one. But sorry, get back to your point. When I realised I was half decent I thought I was half decent, there was a photographer came round and started taking pictures of players to use in the summer brochure for the football camp. Do you want to come at this one or this one or this one? And they used a picture of me, skinhead, wearing my St Johnstone outfield kit, and I need to get this right, champagne Predators on.
Wow.
And
quality boots.
And I've quality boots, and I've got the worst facial expression, and this went round all the schools in Perth, all the community centres. It was my face that was used for this. It's like, wow, this is pretty, because I nobody told me, nobody said anything. I just walked past the notice board at school and was like, that's me.
How did you take to your celebrity status?
Not well, because I became the youngest goalkeeper to play for my school at the time, Our Ladies in Perth. Traditionally, they only pick primary 6 and 7-year-olds. So, working by the time I would have been in primary 4, and we went to, similar at the football festivals we do here, we went to one of them at McDermott Park, the Astro. It was horrendous. I got battered. I remember crying during one of the games, and the coach had to kind of come up to me. He was like, I know you're not enjoying this, but you've got to see this. You're here for a reason, because we believe in you. We think you're good enough to be here. So go and show us why you're good enough to be here. And you're wiping back the tears, and you're like, okay, I'm going to do my best. It was awful. I hated it, and I didn't know if I wanted to do it again. But I did, and then my best friend's dad they had a team called Bridge of Erne.
Okay.
And, well, they didn't have a team. Bridge of Erne are like the local schoolboy team that play in the leagues. A lot of St Johnstone players have come through there, like Liam Gordon and Mark Baxter as well. So I went and played with them on a Sunday in goal. My first game for them, we get beat 10-0 off at Kinross. And just remember this big, massive puddle in the goal. But I didn't cry in that game. I fucking loved that game. I really enjoyed that game, soaking wet, covered in mud, and that was when I was like, this is goalkeeping. This is all about it. This is amazing. And after that, I kind of kicked on, because we went going back to Our Ladies, the next year in primary 5, that's when my family moved back north. So like my dad's from Lossie, my mum grew up in Lambride, but you know, he was with the Hydro, got a good job, so the Hydro relocated him to Perth. And that's how I ended up there. So anyway, back to Our Ladies. Again, they did kind of like an inter-school thing, and they just picked players from here and players from there, and this class and that class and whatever it was, and I was picked for the goalkeeper. Again, primary 5 up against these 6 and 7, primary 6s and 7s, and I remember going across to the local corner shop and, you know, getting your 5-piece sweets back then, and you know, the primary 7s always looked massive, but there was this guy called Murray who was the goalkeeper, and he was huge. And he went, "You think you're so good, don't you? You've stolen my spot. You think you're brilliant." I'm like, "I don't pick the team, mate." But anyway, I got player of the tournament, and then you know it was given out during assembly, so I got a ball and I got a nice pair of gloves. And Mr. Orange, who was the janitor, and Mr. Adamson, who was the admin assistant in the office, I don't really know his job title, which is awful. I feel bad about that. But they pulled me and said, "Look, you're going to play for Rangers. You just stick in. You're going to go and play for Rangers and move back up the road." So yeah, that was kind of about the time I realised I was actually half decent at being a goalie.
Yeah, cracking answer, mate. I'm kind of, well, you've kind of nailed the first 3 questions there, Stu. I like it, mate. How did the move to Elgin City Youth come about?
So, again, I'll give you the long answer. This is what my granda said. Bless him, he passed away just before Christmas. I believe Athol Henderson, who was the head of the community at St Johnstone, had phoned Ross County and said, "Look, there's a young lad coming up. You know, he's moving to the area, he's moving to the Elgin area. You know, do you want to come and have a look at him?" And Arthur Jack was kind of doing what Craig does now with the community, but he was doing it for Ross County. So I went to, what would you call them, satellite schools?
Yes.
So I went to one of them in Lossie, and I think I was the oldest one there. And because there wasn't many of us, there were maybe 6, 7, 8 of us, but I certainly felt the biggest and the tallest and the fastest and the strongest, you know. And from there, Arthur was like, "Well, do you want to come and train with would it have been the under 12s at the time? Excuse me. Under 12, 11, 12s at the time. We've got a goalie coach, Gary Watt. And I had already met Gary. So that's a slightly different story, but that was brilliant. So I went to that, and that's when I first met Sean McIntosh, Toshy at Vale. And Craig Bain, who was a good goalie, who went on to Elgin under 17s. I don't know if he played for Bucky, but he was a shit hot goalie as well. And Ian Anderson.
Yeah, I know Ian.
One of the best goalies. It's a shame he's not playing anymore.
Yeah.
You know,
I went to school with Ian.
A great guy as well.
And you know, the only reason this is mad. The only reason I got in the school team is because Ian wasn't allowed to play for the school team
because he was at county.
Yeah.
Do you know? It's funny that you were saying earlier how it all links, but I used to look at Ian and think, this guy's brilliant. Why did Ross County not take him? And then obviously Joe Mallon was the goalie of the same age group, and I was like, I obviously met Joe Mallon later on. I was like, that's why.
Yeah,
that's why. But anyway, I hated it.
Yeah.
I hated going to Kinloss. I hated it. And, you know, I was making excuses not to go, sore stomach, this and that, didn't want to go. And then there was one training session where the head of youth had come down, and it was Dave McConaughey. Was he head of youth at Elgin? Or was he Ross Jack's assistant for a while?
He was certainly on the coaching team with Ross Jack. I remember that. Like,
I think he was head of youth. I don't want to do him a disservice because I've got a lot of time for Dave.
Yeah.
Anyway, he phoned my mum, and mum came back and picked me up, and we had a long discussion about it. And she's like, "Do you want to keep doing this?" And I was like, "No, I don't want to keep doing this. I don't enjoy the travel. I enjoy the goalkeeping, but I don't enjoy having to pass the ball. I don't enjoy having to run. And I love the slide tackle, but without doing the young lads a disservice, they were all arseholes.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're all arseholes. None of them try to make me... That's not true. I was actually part of Frank McGettrick's group, so I went the year down. And they were really nice. Yeah, it just wasn't good enough. Not good enough. I just didn't want to be there. I just didn't enjoy it.
Yeah, an off-putting time for you.
Yeah, so...
Did that almost kind of put you away from football altogether, Blackie?
No.
No.
Yeah,
still had the passion for the game and that.
Yeah, because I was still the school goalie for Lambride at the time. When I moved up, I pretty much got that straight away.
Yeah.
Played in 2 tournaments for them in primary 5 as well, which again was unheard of at Lambride. It was the 6s and 7s that went. Don't get me wrong, it wasn't the best.
Yeah. Did you play in the boys' league?
So I played in the boys' league in primary 6, and that's where Nigel picked me up.
Yeah.
Nigel Burgess, great guy. You know, he rubs a lot of people up the wrong way, but I wouldn't change him. I think he's brilliant. Yeah. You know, what he did for the young goalies of Murray is something ridiculous. You know, Michael Miel, myself, Cammy Farker, Trevor Deere, Ollie Kelly. There's more that I'm missing, but he brought them through, and a lot of them went on to play Highland League, and you know, Stawes as well. I played Highland League. Stawes is still there.
Yeah.
Ollie Kelly's still at Elgin. You know, Trevor's self-employed now, so he doesn't bother with football. But you know, Michael Miel, great goalkeeper as well. You know, he brought all them through. You know, the coaching staff. You know, him and JJ, the goalies, were just brilliant. Yeah. JJ. Madman, loved him. Shortest goal I've ever seen. Great guy.
Yeah,
great guy. And you know, I don't know what happened with Nigel. I don't know if he agreed to start coaching me or like training with me before the start of every game, because I was in the Suns team, and then Robbie Hope came sniffing about, but I was still with Ross County at the time.
Yep.
And I said, I'll need to let you know. And I think Robbie, I think it was 3 or 4 times he asked me, and I still I didn't know, you know, what to do. And then eventually my best pal, Stuart Allen, his mum came round to the house after they'd been training with Murray Select and says, look, Murray Select are looking for a goalie, you know, would Stuart be interested? I said, sure, yeah. And then just I've been with Elgin from there, so I must have been 12. 12, and was at Elgin until I was 21.
I've said it before. I've said it on multiple podcasts. The boys' league is the place to get picked up. I'm a coach in the boys' league. I've got St Giles Juniors. That's my team. I've got quite a few parents who probably listen to this. Can you kind of back that up, Blackie? That is a place to get picked up.
It is.
Yeah.
You know, in raw talent, I don't want to put anybody off, but I do worry about youth development in Elgin. That because for a while there was talk that Elgin aren't allowed to do it. You know, so when I was in the under 15s, I was still training at the RAF camp, so I must have been under 15s. We weren't allowed to do the boys' league because they were concerned that all the Elgin players would oversaturate, and then the ones that haven't developed yet wouldn't get picked up. So they took the Elgin boys. Sorry, I should say they took the Elgin youth boys out of the boys' league.
Yep.
But I got a phone call one day from Tiger Porter. You know, are you available to play for one of the boys' league teams who don't have a goalie? You know, you can do that instead of training. I'm like, superb. Yeah. But happy to do that. No bother. In fact, actually, it was Mike Miel that phoned me the first time because it was his team that needed a goalie. And I turned up thinking I was going to play with his team. But I didn't. I ended up playing for the Royals. And the Royals were rock bottom of that league. But obviously, I went in. Funny, Stuart Allen was actually in that team, so I came in. We actually drew that game. I think Conor McCauley was playing in the other team, and he was just peppering, save after save after save. I think it finished 2-2, but I felt amazing after that game, and that's what Boys League does for you.
Yeah.
You know, it's games when there's not really any pressure.
No.
And it makes you feel $1 million.
Yeah, it's like, it seems like a bit of fun to people, but the kids, it's serious for them. Like that league is be all and end all for them 3-4 months.
100%.
And it gets them used to, like, you know, even going into a junior level, a welfare level, you
Yeah.
know, it gets you the competitive edge in you, a wee bit of hunger for, like, you know yourself. I had a few games last season where we'd absolutely hammer teams, maybe put 8 or 9 past them, and the feeling amongst the team, like, I only see it as a manager, but it's the feeling amongst the lads, like, I was never a great football player. I probably got better as I got older. I thought that was kind of my issue, but my fitness never maintained its way either.
Amen, brother.
That's the reason I'm coaching now. I can tell other people how to do it. It's easier to do it that way, mate. No, Boys League, I've always says it. It's the best, most physical, competitive form of football in Murray, and any scouts within the Murray area and not watching that league are missing out.
100%.
Yeah.
100%. And it's a shame because you don't really get the Inverness, Ross County, Aberdeen coaches anymore. But I think that's testament to what Elgin have done with their development and their pathway for youth players. You know, I remember, I don't know if it was a home game, and you know the young lads, Robbie Hope's lot, had maybe been training at Morriston or out the back. Well, it wouldn't have been out the back, it would have been at the side because the flood alleviation had been done. And there was a kid walked past with 139 in his top, and I was like, Jesus, there's at least 139 youth players at this club.
Yeah,
that's unbelievable. Like, wow.
Yeah, it's mad, isn't it?
It's nuts. Like, how do you I Queen's Park were always in our development league, but they had 2 teams.
Yeah,
and I never thought I'd see that amount of players in Elgin, that, you know, each kind of youth team could have almost 2 teams. It was unbelievable to see 139 in somebody's tracky top.
But it's a testament as well. Like, you look at the Elgin team now, you've still got players like Soapy's been there 17, 18 years.
Won't move on.
You've got young players like Finn Allen and that coming into the team these days. Yeah, absolutely brilliant players.
We had Aidan Cruikshank at Dufftown, and I've deliberately only included one Dufftown player in my team because I want to talk about that whole squad later on.
Yeah.
But if Aidan gets the right development, he's going to be some player. I think he could be the next Soapy without putting that pressure on him.
Yeah.
He's fast and he's strong. He's lean and he looks like you could blow him over. But he's strong, he rides a challenge, and he's got the personality already.
Yeah.
You know, he's a cheeky little fucker, but I like that. And he's a really nice guy. And for somebody of that age to have the balls to step up and take the final penalty to win Dufftown their first trophy, it's
says something, mate.
100%.
Yeah,
you know, and
says something.
Steve Mackay obviously seen something in him as well to take him to Nairn. You know, and I hope more of that comes through. But I mean this with tongue in cheek, but I hope there's never any young Elgin goalies play more than 20 games for Elgin City, because I hold that record. But yeah, no, I hope that, you know, like Ollie Kelly can get a run in the team, or somebody else coming through. You know, even Tom Ritchie, if he's released by Aberdeen, comes and signs with Elgin. You know, he goes on to play over 150 games like Thomas McHale's done.
Yeah.
You know, and
who do you think is the best goalkeeper in the Highland League just now?
Do you know what? It's an easy answer, but he's not playing right now, is Joe Mallon. But Logan Ross has taken that.
I've always been a big fan of Hobday.
Funny story about Hobday. I don't know if I can tell this on there.
We can cut out if it's too mad.
It's not that it's too mad. It might make me and Stars look like absolute fucking wankers.
Okay.
Hobday's a good guy. You know, I've known Hobday for a long time. He came and trained with us. Nigel left Elgin but kept doing the community goalkeeping side of things when he was working in Aberdeen, and he had this goalkeeper that he wanted to take to training. So I later found out, you know, as he calls himself, the Hob, was staying in Stonehaven. So he was travelling through to Lossie to train with us. And
mad.
Do you know what? I'm not ashamed to admit this, because I was do you know what? One, I was going through a bad time in life, awful time in life, and my personal skills probably hadn't developed. But when Nigel took him in, I took that to heart. I'm like, why is he trying to replace me? I'm Nigel's boy. Why is he taking somebody else? And you can fuck off. So, and I don't know if Staws really felt the same way as I did, or he just wanted to get in the patter. But we were doing this shooting drill where the goalie's in the goal, and we're all kind of in an arc. So Staws started on that side, and I started on this side, and it was the first strike in the drill. So it started with me and went round. I've wrapped this thing opposite top bins. I'll never do it again in my life. Unbelievable finish, and it's come round, and Staws, right-footed, has done the same thing on the opposite side, just arrowed this thing right past Hobday, and it's started with me again, and I did it again. I'll never do it again. I was like, yeah, fucking welcome our training, you know, welcome.
This is how good our goalies are.
This is how good our
Wait
goalies
till you
are.
see our strikers, man.
And anyway, my personal feelings got the better of me, and me and Nigel ended up having a massive blowout, arguing and fighting with each other, and that's something I massively regret. Massively regret that, because I couldn't communicate to him how I felt, and I really should have done, because I was old enough to be able to understand that. I just didn't at the time.
Yeah.
And that probably started my downward spiral out of Elgin City. You know, you imagine fighting with a coach. What does that say about you as a person?
Yeah.
You know, like, just aggressive, angry, nasty, horrible guy. And that wasn't me, but that was me in that and in that point of time, that was me, just angry all the time. Yeah, just angry all the time, you know. But going back to your question, right now, without a doubt, Stewart Knight.
Yeah.
Stewart Knight.
Good keeper.
I want to mention oh Christ, I've forgotten his last name. I think it's Dylan McKenzie.
Okay.
Is it Dylan McKenzie at Nairn? I hope I've not forgotten his name, because I've trained with Dylan and I still speak to Dylan. Yeah, great guy.
Yeah.
Great guy. Mikey Fraser was working with him at his Just for Keepers camp in Inverness, and he was at Clark, and then he was training with Clark, and didn't do a good job explaining that. Mikey Fraser was training Dylan at his Just for Keepers camp whilst Dylan was still at Clark and the Cudden, and Clark had trained across the Astro from us at Milburn, and it was just Dylan, and Mikey was like, oh, just come on over and come and train with us, come and train with me and Blackie and Staws. And this guy is like a cat, so agile, so springy, you know, and he's the near number one.
Yeah.
And I really hope, I can't believe I've forgotten his last name. I'm sure it's McKenzie.
We can dub that in, can't we, Ryan?
Yeah. He's definitely up there. I don't know what's happened to Martin McKinnon. He was at Clark. I don't know where he's gone. Sean McCarthy as well. Again, trained with him when Mikey Fraser was with us. He came in. I don't know if it was a trial or he just came in to train with us, but he came in with Mikey Fraser and that as well, because they were at Ross County together.
Yeah.
Another great goalie, and obviously I got to mention Toshi as well.
Yep.
Toshi, we just seem to just bounce off each other, and you know,
I know what you're saying.
Just a really good guy.
Fantastic. So what's life like for a young goalkeeper in the Highland League?
Hard.
Yeah.
Hard. You can't make a mistake, and we need to nurture our goalies to a point where they have to be allowed to make mistakes.
Yeah.
So
I said the same thing.
Yeah, I left Elgin. I think I played about 20 games. For some reason, 24's in my head.
You've got 24, and then I've got also, you came on 15 times for them. But I don't know, that might be wrong.
Well, see, I thought that as well, and I'm sure somebody's done that, and I feel like 24 is the number.
Would that include like friendlies and stuff like that?
I wonder if that's what that is. I wonder if that's friendlies.
What used to happen? Because you were at, how many years were you at Elgin for, Blackie?
Quite a few. 11.
Yeah, quite a few, and then in and around that first team for at least half of that.
Well, my very first training session with the first team was 14.
Wow.
I went up to Dingwall with Stevie Dunn at 14, and then I didn't go back, and then that following season I did the pre-season with Stevie Dunn and John Calder, and Paul Robertson, Michael Miel, Keane Wilkinson were all around at that time. But fast forward to the end of the season, you know, it was just me that was hanging about with John Calder at training, and you know, I got on the bench, and then I got my debut at 15, and then that was me. I didn't look back. So from 15 to 21, you know, I must have played in, a good couple of friendlies, but I didn't play. Do you know what it is? It's youth games.
Youth games.
Not youth games, 21 games.
Right, okay.
which get disbanded after the car crash.
Yeah.
I think that's what it was. It was a youth league at the time.
Okay.
So that's what those 15 are, so kind of still senior appearances.
But you've also, like, you were number 2 for quite a while. You were number 2 during the Rangers season.
So I remember the first game, John Gibson went down injured after about 20 minutes. I was like, fuck.
You're the kind of person to be nervous about that, Blackie.
100% shite myself. And he I think he was really just running the clock down. And he got back up, no problems. He got back up, no problems. But funny story, actually. And this isn't so much like a claim to fame, but I replaced Dennis Winus. I came on and replaced Dennis Winus. That, to me, that just blows my mind. But Raymond Jamela gets sent off at Annan away. So they had to make a sub.
Yeah.
Only 10 minutes to go. And I've gone the right way for the penalty, but it's gone between my knee and my elbow. It's gone in. And then we're doing really well, seeing the game out. And Paul Harkins gives me about a 45-yard back pass. No pressure. I couldn't control it. I tried it. I couldn't control it. Like, it kept bouncing away from me. And eventually I got it under control and I was about to just launch it. And I'm sure it's Kenny Mackay. Big lad. Fast. I think he's got his own podcast now.
I know who you're on about.
Just nicked in, went round me and scored. And you're like, Jesus. I was a mess after that.
Yeah.
You know, I think that was only like my 4th appearance.
Mm-hmm.
And going back to making mistakes, you know, I really should have gone out on loan, even if it was to somebody like New Elgin, and just made mistakes. Because it would have done wonders for my development. In that moment, I'd have just kicked out of the park.
Yeah.
You know, and Paul Harkins was really good and he apologised. He said I shouldn't have given it back to you. And I was like, look, I had years to take a touch. There was nobody near me, but that's how fast Kenny Mackay was.
Yeah.
But I had time. I had just taken a better touch and kicked it. Fuck, it would have been a different story. We would have got out there by a point. But just a little follow on after that. Jim Chapman and his assistant were really good to me. They spoke to me after the game. And that relationship kind of stuck. So I don't really know what happened. It was probably because I gifted them a goal. You know what fans are like. So when my name got read out on the tannoy when we went back to Galabank, I used to get a cheer from the fans.
Small victories, eh?
Small victories.
Small victories.
Yeah, so when I was told to stay away from the first team, you know, when all that shit happened, Annan was the next game. And I walked round to stay away from the Elgin dugout because I wanted to watch the football, but I should have just stayed away. Again, arrogant, obnoxious arsehole, went to the game anyway. But I walked round the ground and Jim Chapman actually took 5 minutes to speak to me instead of managing his team. Just that, what's happening? You know, what you're doing, not in the squad, blah, 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 blah.
Yeah.
So, yeah, you know, you say little victories.
Yeah.
Little victories.
Yeah. I'm like that, mate. I'll take the smallest of victories. It doesn't bother me. Like,
I don't care if those 15 games are friendlies.
Yeah.
Like that, they're going in there.
100%, bud. 100%. What kind of goalkeeper are you, Blackie?
I want to say.
How would you describe?
Do you know what I would describe? Don't laugh. I would describe myself as a Nick Pope, but I don't really come for crosses as much as he does. But I think for likeness, I'm a Nick Pope kind of goalkeeper. A Nick Pope / a Ben Foster.
Okay.
But I just don't have a wonderful left peg like Ben Foster.
Yeah. How is your left peg?
It's getting better.
Okay.
I playing for the reserves 2 weeks ago. I got Harrogate, the railway are total football, ping, 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 ping. It's incredible to watch.
Yeah.
Play our way out of trouble all the time. And this Dan Atkins is giving me a back pass on my left foot. My striker about 5 yards away. You know, he's no more than about 10 yards away from me as well, and I can't move it onto my right foot. And it was just a swinging hook. And it was fine. I was like, you're getting better. That left foot's getting better. It's not for standing on anymore.
I can't speak with 4-year-olds got better left foot than I do. Like, it's unbelievable. Kind of talking about that, is there anyone that you replicate your game after or did when you were growing up?
There was a lot. there was a lot. You know, I remember the first time I seen Peter Schmeichel. You know, big, aggressive.
We'd had a few mentions of the big man on here, like,
But you can't do that. Everybody says they want a Peter Schmeichel, but they're not willing to give you the 18 crosses to come and miss and then catch the one for you to get your confidence. Because Schmeichel would come 16 yards off his line, take a cross. You know, if you get a chance, you should watch his Brøndby highlights. How far he comes for a cross, and he catches it in one hand. It's ridiculous.
yeah.
And that just wasn't me. I couldn't be that. And everybody was like, I want you to be aggressive like Peter Schmeichel. And it's like, sure, I've got 6 red cards to my name. You know, and only one of them was for a handball outside the box. The rest of them for violent conduct.
Yeah.
You know, so the aggressive side of things clearly didn't work. And then I seen people like Van der Sar and Casillas and Neuer and Buffon who don't stress-free, calm, just calm. And that's what I want to be. That's what I strive to be, to the point that I've had the assistant manager at the first team and the reserve manager, you know, he's come up to me and he's like, you're such a calming influence on the team. You build us through games. You know, there was one game we had a lad sent off. Boasted he'd get sent off. He had to make the challenge. He had to. The guy was on through and goal. It was a 1-on-1. Take him down. We were, I think it was 1-1 at the time. And he's chopped him down. And it was like the Alamo, just attack after attack after attack. And my partner was in the stand behind me. And I turned to her at a goal kick and I said to her, it's just like being at home. It's just like being at home, just having to defend and talk teams through games. You know, you're a man down, and this is where your organisation comes into things. And I don't think I've ever had the credit of being an organiser. I don't think anybody would ever give me that credit, but I think my communication and my organisation is a super skill. It's my super skill. And we went on to win the game 2-1.
Yep.
We seen it out, and it was like, you know, just being enthusiastic about defending, because straight away the boys almost went back in themselves, and it's like, no, just be a calming influence, talk them through the game, don't stress. If somebody makes a mistake, don't stress. Right, it's happened, you know, I don't care. Did they score? No. Like, calm
That's the
down,
main thing.
get back to it, you know, just relax. And we saw the game out, you know. So being a calm and you want to fly about and make these camera saves, and they all look amazing, but you never get them. I've had like 3 of them in my career, you know. So I wanted to be a Casillas, short sleeves, and then I wanted to be a Ben Foster, Sells gloves, Nike boots. Excuse me, and I just think Tiempos are the comfiest boot that have ever been made. So I love a Nike Tiempo, and you know that fits the Ben Foster look.
Yeah,
and I played on that slightly because
still playing them now.
Yes.
Yeah.
I won't move from Cells. These actually, they're Cell Sport. Story behind them for later on when I'm at Dufftown, but the ones underneath are Cells. They're from 2014 from the World Cup, actually.
Wow.
Funnily enough, when Ben Foster got his one World Cup appearance, that would be the model of glove he was wearing. I'm not going to tell where I get them from because then everybody will be after them. So that's my little secret, but I will not pay full price for Cells, but I know where to get them. I know who to speak to get them from.
Okay.
Because they're ridiculous. He's just released his new range, and probably the knockdown. It's not the knockdown version, but he's got his premium range and his kind of, what would you say, elite and pro. That's what Nike do with their boots. They've got their elite, the pro, and their academy. So probably his pro glove will cost you about £100 now.
Wow.
And I'm not paying that for gloves. But Just Keepers were having a sale on one specific black model, and I must have picked up about 6 pairs of them for 20 quid.
Yeah.
And I was like, I'm taking that. And I actually moved away from Nike in pre-season. I wore a pair of the Premiers, the white and black Premiers against Harrogate Town, and I gave away a penalty. And I felt like I couldn't kick because it felt like I was wearing slippers. They were that comfortable. I felt like I couldn't kick. So I got a back pass, and this big lad running at me, and I thought, well, I'll use my experience. I'll draw him in. I'll take a touch wide and I'll put my arm across him. I've done that. He's gone down. The referee's pointed for a penalty. So they went to become a training boot. So I'm wearing a pair of Adidas boots now, and my boots have to be white.
Yeah,
white or yellow.
Mine have to be green.
Yeah, it's funny that I get that. Like, I don't like a black glove, but the black glove that I bought off of Just Keep It, incredible. I want my gloves to be white, but they were just, they did the job, so that I'll get more.
Yeah,
I'll get more.
Do you wear the kind of new style gloves as well without the strap?
No, you can get them in the bin.
Yeah,
disgusting. But
have you tried them?
No.
D-Day
did. D-Day at New Elgin did. He actually quite liked them. I don't know. I don't think they were Nike. Indie brand, sorry.
We've got I've got a development squad as part of our welfare team, and a few of the guys have got the strapless ones. A few of the guys are more the old school with the straps. I think it's just a preference thing, isn't it?
Do you know what it is? And what I really like about my glove is the bandage.
Yeah.
Is this specific bandage. I like that, and I like a latex strap. Not all gloves come with a latex strap. Some of them come with a plastic strap, but I love the bandage, and a lot of companies now are moving to neoprene.
Yeah.
And I don't like it. They're neoprene actually. I don't like it because it moves. Whereas the bandage, you get a good tight seal.
I feel the new ones are very sticky as well. You know,
you can't get. Kasper Schmeichel said that, you know, when he was with Adidas at the World Cup, he's like, I don't want to spend 40 minutes trying to get my gloves on. I've already got to try and sort out this armband. You know, I've got to get the pendant ready. You know, I've got to get my towel, my bottle. I don't want to spend 20 minutes asking boys to put my gloves on just so I can go to the toilet.
Yeah.
And he said, like, I'm getting away with it, and that's why he released his own ones. And now he's with Uhlsport, who I don't think have ever released a strapless model.
No.
They've changed to a really nice model, which is, so there's nothing on the front, and on the back it's kind of like a half and half. So one goes that way and the other one comes over the top.
Yep.
It's a really nice model.
Can you remember your favourite pair of gloves as a kid?
Yes.
So can I.
Yeah.
What were yours?
You go first.
Nike Krakens.
Right, okay. I think Tim Howard wore a pair of them when he was with Metro Stars.
Nike Krakens.
Mine were Roosh or Roish, or however you want to pronounce it. And Kevin Cuthbert had the same model. I didn't know this at the time, but I just walked into, what were they called? County Sport in Perth, and they were really nice. They were just an all-white glove with a blue finger that kind of came, and then it came into here, and then the whole backhand went to blue, and then it cut off and went to a white, only to a half strap. They were lovely. I searched everywhere for a pair of them and couldn't find them again.
Yeah.
That was Primary 7. I wore them for the whole season. They were incredible. And every one of them are an aqua glove, aqua latex, so they're superb in the wet. That's what Sells are known for. Those Roosh at the time were a wet weather glove. I didn't know that at the time until, you know, you try and find them, you read the description, yada, yada, yada. I have to wear a wet weather latex or I don't feel comfortable.
Yep, feel like you're slipping.
A lot of the new gloves and a lot of the indie brands like Cali Air and One Glove and Adidas now, their gloves come with a plastic film on them you have to take off, and I find that they're not very good in the wet. Great in the dry, but it'll pick up like mud on dry pitches. So I just think if you have an all-round glove, you keep them damp, they're going to last you much longer and your hands are going to be better for it.
Yeah.
Whereas, you know, TikTok, social media, you know, the guy rips the plastic off his glove and he sticks it to his kitchen cupboard, and like, why do you want that? Why do you want that? I don't want, practical. You know, it has happened. Me and Stas have spoken about it. Like, before Mitre started introducing the dimples into their sort of pro range balls, the big shiny, you remember the Mitre ones when Rangers came down, they were gold, Bill, they were white, blue and gold.
Yes, I do.
They were just like the Iron Brew ball, they were just shiny. They would stick to your glove, so when you go to release it to kick it, it's still stuck to your glove. You know, of course, that's no exaggeration, but it delays you by that half second. When your hip flexor and your leg is already going to kick it, it's still in your glove, and you just end up spooning it.
Yeah.
You know, I don't want my glove to be that sticky. I don't know why you'd want that.
It's not
counterproductive.
practical. Yeah, not practical. All right for catching the ball, but nothing else.
No, exactly. And goalies these days don't catch much anymore.
No, a lot of parrying and punching these days.
And I'm all for that.
Yeah.
That's my kind of... I for a long time, I didn't like crosses. I'll be honest, I still don't. So when the striker comes and stands to me, I'm like, perfect. And I say to him, don't you move. You stay right there, because if you stay right there, I don't have to come for this cross. And he's like, all right, okay. So the last 23s game I played actually down in Wakefield on Monday, he came back and he was like, same deal. I was like, yep, same deal. You just stand there, you know. And I do like to talk to my opponent during the game as well. You get a good crack with some of them as well.
Yeah.
But yeah, sorry, I forgot what we were talking about.
No, it's all right. No, it's we're kind of flying through the questions anyway, Stuart. In your opinion, who is the best goalkeeper of all time?
Of all time?
Yeah.
Me. No, I'm joking. Sorry. My mum will be raging that I've said that. I told her in my starting 11. She's like, how dare you put yourself in your starting 11? It's like, I can't
You've
pick.
got to.
Well, I'm glad you said that. I couldn't pick a goalie.
You've got
I couldn't.
to, man.
We'll talk about it later, but out of all the goalies, I couldn't pick one. Alison Becker.
Wow.
Alison Becker for me just now. And I'm going to give you a left ball shout as well, because I've missed somebody out my team. I was humming and hawing about it, and I've missed her out. I think Mary Earps as well just now is incredible.
Yeah, the English goalkeeper.
Yeah, and what she's doing for the game, for the girls of it, or the women or ladies of England, is phenomenal. And the English, the lionesses, you know, behind Mary Earps is a young lass called Hannah Hampton. She's at Chelsea. She's number 2 at Chelsea just now, but she was Villa's number 1. Again, an incredible goalkeeper. And Southampton have a young lass who plays for the Lioness 21s. And I can't remember her name. I'm sure it's Kendall. Again, another phenomenal goalkeeper.
Yeah.
But, you know, I know Ederson's just won Goalie of the Year. Him and Becker are just so similar.
Mm-hmm.
But I just think Becker just is a better all-round goalie.
Can score goals as well.
It can score goal. I mean, a great header. It's every goalie's dream to score a goal.
Yeah.
But
That's something I asked Alan. Have you ever came close to scoring, Stuart?
I have. I used to take penalties for Lambride.
That's what we want. That's the kind of guess we're after, right?
I've never scored.
A bit of Sene going on the goal, like.
I've never scored in an 11-a-side goal, but I scored a boys' league.
Mm-hmm.
But it was just a friendly. Went up for a corner. Funny story, actually. Again, this relates back to Joe Mallon. It wasn't long after the St Johnstone goalkeeper Matt Glennon had scored. He went up for a corner against Ross County.
Yeah.
And Stuart Garden, the Ross County goalie, had come off injured, and it was Joe Mallon that was in goal.
Ah, right, okay.
So yeah,
circles
again, and then obviously you get Jimmy Glass. So it was a week or two after that, I went up for a corner against St Giles.
My team.
And we were, I think we were, I don't know if we were losing or if we were drawn. And nobody told me to. I just went up. I just wanted to. I just went up, and it just fell to me. The ball just fell to me. Took it, believe it or not, took a touch with my right foot and just hammered it into the goal with my left foot. Sorry, windy. And yeah, so I scored there. I scored at Soccer Sevens. I think I scored 2 at Soccer Sevens in Lambride.
Yeah.
Again, up for a corner. That was the first one. And the second one was just a long kick, bounced over the goalie's head and went in. In 11-a-side goals, I have hit the crossbar.
Wow.
From a kick out my hands. That was against Keith Grammer at Milnes. Chasing the game, and it literally was like everybody forward. Harry Bruce had just started his refereeing journey, and he'd refereed I think it was the first years, and he was standing behind the goal and we were having a chat during the game. And I've come, believe it or not, taking this cross, and everybody's up the pitch, and I've just wellied this thing, and I'm so angry because the goalie touched it onto the bar. I thought it was going over his head. If he hasn't touched it, it's going on, but it's hit the bar, and we've scored the rebound. You know, I've got loads of assists. Well, not loads of assists, but I've got a couple of assists in my locker as well.
Yeah.
Which, you know, like Alan said, it's a little bit more satisfying actually, an assist, because it's your part in the team. You know, it's not something you get to do. What I found with the Railway is that everything starts with the goalie.
Yeah.
One of the gaffers, Rob, is really big on that. He's like, dictate the tempo. You dictate the tempo. You set how we play. You want to play fast, you play fast. You want to play slow, you play slow. That doesn't bother me, but you dictate, which I think is a great message for young goalies as well.
Yep, I agree.
But yeah, I'd love to score a goal. We again, actually, we're playing. Funny enough, my recent assist was in the same game I'm about to talk about. I was wanting to get the attention of one of the young lads, Charlie Dunn. Great footballer, but he looks, on the eye, he looks lazy. Passing, things look a little bit sloppy, but he is sharp, he is quick, and I was trying to get his attention, and everybody's like, "Oh, Stuart, you're gonna take the penalty." I was like, "Don't be silly. I'm not going to embarrass the young lad like that. Don't be silly." So like Charlie, come here. I just want to talk to you about something. So I wish I took the penalty, but I couldn't embarrass a young lad like that. I couldn't. It's not right. And like Tim Howard said, and Asmir Begovic said, you know, when you score a goal that's not really meant, like, don't get me wrong, see like Becker's one with his header, that's different. Go and celebrate that. But you know, like if you're Tim Howard and you just give it the big boom, or Asmir Begovic over Boric, you just give it the big boom. It's a wee bit embarrassing. And if you can avoid that, I would want to avoid that.
You would hate the roles to be reversed.
100%.
Yeah.
100%. And
Lee, go pull your mic a little bit down.
Sorry,
It sounds
mate.
a bit distant, mate.
Sorry.
Doesn't have to be closer, as long as it's just like kind of below your mouth when you're
There we go.
projecting.
Sorry.
that's all right. And it just, yeah, you're right. You know, I just know that they would celebrate against me, and I just want to have that in the back of my head. That you know what, it'd be brilliant to score a goal, but just like don't embarrass the young lad, because a lot of the goalies I come up against in the 23s are younger. You know, and that goalie that day had a great game. You know, his dad was behind my goal speaking to me about things, and he was their best player. He was only 16. He was their best player, and I could tell, because with a lot of young goalies, they can't kick.
Yes.
At a young age, they can't kick. And
I had the exception this year in my boys' league.
yeah,
Rory, I'll not say his second name on here, but he's at Elgin under 12s just now. He's only 10 or 11. Fantastic, but his kicking is his weapon.
yeah.
He was clearing the boys' league pitch. I had to tell him to like scale back the kicking a bit.
Yeah.
You know, but I scored 35 goals this season through a fast striker and his kicking.
Yeah.
You know, and see if you can just find the formula where it works.
It's a cheat code.
Yeah.
It's a cheat code. Like, I missed him out of my team because I was thinking about Haaland, and, but you know, he's the big target man now and he'll score loads of goals, but I missed Paul Miller. You imagine having Paul Miller in your team just to hit that
6'10".
6'10", and the guy was actually really quite good. We would have got promotion that year if he didn't get injured.
Yeah.
100%, you know, and it was a shame that it was in was it the home leg? Was it the Albion Rovers home leg he went down, or was it the game before that? I'm sure it was Albion Rovers home leg, because he should have had about 3 hat-tricks in the home leg.
And he missed quite a lot of football through his work as well, didn't he?
Yeah, but he, again, another really, really nice guy.
Yep.
A lot of time for Paul Miller, so I'm glad I mentioned him, because he's not on my team.
What would you consider your best save, Blocky?
Now, again, I was thinking about this on my way through. I can't really remember any of my saves. So, the penalty that I saved for Dufftown in the Elginshire Cup final, I thought I went the other way, but I didn't. I went that way.
Okay.
So, I can't really remember all my great saves.
Have you got a penalty technique for saving? You maybe don't want to give it away on here.
Yes and no. Ben Cullen, again, another exceptional striker. I hummed and hayed about putting him in my team. You give him the ball in the box, he will score. End of. He will score. Lazy, no offence, Ben. Lazy, but he will score. He will get you goals from anywhere. Perfect example. My only assist for Dufftown, long ball at the park, and he's read it, and it's just boop off his head, and then the guy was about 20 yards out.
Yeah.
He just knows what to do, how to do, and he just knows where the net is. So he told me something, and since then I've followed on with it. And that year, I think I saved about 7 penalties, and in the year after, I must have faced about 10 and only saved 2.
Right, okay.
It really is
Hit and
50-50. These guys like Michel Vorm and Fabianski are incredible penalty savers, if if that's what you want to say. They're incredible penalty savers. Some people are just really good at it. Some people just get really lucky. Some people study. Some people go with the scouting report and what they're told. But I know, like, David De Gea prefers to do his own thing. I mean, that didn't work out for him in the Europa League Cup final, but, shit happens. You've got to have your own feeling.
Yep.
And what I'll do is I'll walk behind the striker. So if he's got the ball in his hand on the penalty spot, as soon as the referee blows his whistle, he's given the penalty, don't get involved with the referee. I start walking the other way. You slow the time down. I'll sometimes pick the ball up and have a little bit of a feel, so he has to replace it. But I don't look at him. I just walk back to my goal. The referee will be like, hurry up, or on your line, or yada, yada, yada. I say, yeah, sure, no worries, I'm going to grab a drink. And then face him, and I just look at him and I just think, right, where can I visualise this penalty going? And sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't.
Yeah.
But, Stonehaven away and Dice at home, I get lucky twice. And,
You take it.
The Stonehaven game is mad. Saved the first penalty was really soft. Saved it. I don't like looking back on that. That's not on my highlight reel because I look really slow getting back up. And he's hit the rebound. I think I've punched the rebound away, and then he's followed it up, and the guy's blocked it with his arm in the line. Red card penalty, same side, saved again, held on for a 1-0 win. Held on for a 1-1 draw, and then Dice, a good friend of mine, was refereeing that day. Aaron Cruikshank, one of the funniest boys you'll ever meet. A really, really funny guy. His dad John was my high school coach and one of my coaches at youth level at Elgin. Lovely guy, lovely family. Sister Aisha's lovely, Sally the mum, lovely. They're all just a really lovely family, and it's, he was refereeing the game. He didn't know if it would to go ahead or not because the top corner at Westburn gets really boggy.
Yeah.
So I don't know if he delayed kickoff or if we just went and did it anyway. The game got played, and it's Dice and they're bombarding us. Dunner's heading everything away. Gare's heading everything away. Gare actually had to come off. Gare get concussion, so it stopped the game for a while. But yeah, Aaron gives a penalty. It probably was a penalty. Sam Robertson steps up, and we were having a bit of back and forth. Non-verbals, just like asking, like, do you take penalties? Like, not really, for striker, I don't really take penalties. Like, okay. Save many, not really, but 50-50. Went the right way, saved it, and then somebody dived in the second half, penalty again, saved that one too, and then you get to the Forest Thistle Cup final, saved one, went the right way with the other one, didn't get, my hand got trapped, couldn't quite get to it, You're not supposed to save penalties.
No, it's not in the goalie's favour.
It's not, and it feels fucking amazing when you do save one. It does, but you have to calm yourself down, The only penalty I saved for Elgin City was against Gary Wood at Montrose. Stuart McKenzie was in goal that day, actually. And on the back of that, I got my trial with Aberdeen. We won 4-0, I got man of the match. I'm pretty sure that broke my toe. I went one way and I've put it over the bar with my toe, and my toe was in agony, but I was just so excited. Like, Duffers and Twiggy were like, just calm down, we've still got this game to play. Just try and calm yourself down, because you want to get, it's so exciting. It's like, just calm, and that's when it goes back to being a calm goalie.
Yeah, that's the experience of them lads showing through.
Yeah. Good guys as well. It was Marvin Andrews or Jamie Duff, and Marvin Andrews played at the World Cup. Mm-hmm. I played with Duffers again at Rothis. I played one game in pre-season for Rothis, and again, it just like we'd never been apart.
Yeah,
strolled it.
Yeah, it makes the game easy for you.
Yeah, it does. Mm-hmm. And Duffers was really good at communicating with me, whereas Twiggy maybe wasn't so much.
Yeah.
Twiggy, kind of like the Roy Keane.
Yeah.
You don't want to fuck with him.
No, not at all.
There was one training session I did though, and I found out playing a game of whack fuck, and something happened. He was shouting at somebody, or he was shouting at me. I started shouting back at him, and he's grabbed me like that and he's thrown me at the floor. But I've grabbed his bib, so that if you're throwing me, you're coming with me. And
100%.
you know, but you know, he was brand new about it on Saturday. We spoke about it, and he's like, "Look, you can't be behaving like that." I'm like, "Yeah, you know what? You're right. You're right. Can't be behaving like that." But you know, Twiggy could play anywhere.
Yeah, you'll take it from someone like him.
100%.
Yeah.
100%.
What kind of time are we on, Ryan? Sorry.
Just about hit the hour, mate. I did
Okay.
send you the text, but I
Okay.
take it it's
No, it's all right. I think my phone's on silent, so it's all right. Okay, we're just kind of going to wrap up questions, last couple, and then we're going to get on to your 1 to 11, Blackie.
Cool.
Who's the best player you've played with?
See, that's difficult because that's difficult because I played with Rob Uhill last Monday, so he's one of the gaffers at Harrogate Railway, and he is a baller. I think he played USL in America. Pretty sure he played for Harrogate Town in League Two. I'm not sure about that. I think he definitely played for Harrogate Town, but wasn't sure it was in League Two or the National League. Guy's a baller. You know, Dennis Winus, incredible. You know, so much time and space. I remember in the small sided games looking at him and he was being picked up. I'm just going to use Twiggy as an example. Twiggy was picking him up. I literally looked away to look at my other side, and Dennis is he's just moved about half a yard. Nobody near him, and the ball just falls to his feet, tucks it in.
Yeah.
You know, Craig Gunn. You know, what did I need to say about Gunny? Goals. Shane Sutherland, goals. I'm really not sure. Soapy would probably be my number one. But there's this young lad at Harrogate Railway, Harry Bandera. He's on the bench.
Yeah, that's the only person I couldn't find anything about.
Unbelievable.
Yeah.
Wee guy. Really, do you know what? He reminds me of Xander Jack, but smaller, and no offence, Xander, but much better looking. Lovely guy. His dad's lovely. His dad was speaking to me through one of the games. Lovely guy. He's a cartoonist. He's a big Middlesbrough fan. He's a lovely guy, and because of housing situations and things, I spent a lot of time away from the railway this season and came back, and the first thing he said to me was, "Stuart, it's lovely to hear your voice again. Like, great to see you." But going back to Harry, small guy, amazing feet, and he can take a kick, and he will give a kick. He can do everything. Like Dennis, he's always got space. I really hope this kid goes to the top. Still a young lad, unbelievable.
Yeah.
Like, and you think about how good Soapy is.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and you throw Gavin Morrison in there as well. You know, he went back to Inverness. You know,
Yeah, quality player.
quality. That whole Elgin squad was full of quality players.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I couldn't.
Very experienced Elgin team.
Yeah,
Very
you know,
experienced.
it's a shame that they never won the league
Yeah.
or promotion.
Could you I was just kind of like going through stats. Can you tell me how many games Soapy's had for Elgin?
He's well over 300, isn't he?
He's 538 games.
500.
538 games. And he's only 32 years old. So I reckon he's got another 150 games in him at least.
That's nuts.
Yeah.
So is Coops on 300 then?
Coops is on 300.
That's what I've seen recently.
Yeah.
Another really nice. Do you know what? For a right back, I completely forgot. Sorry, Coops, I completely forgot about you, mate.
Yeah. Quality players,
Yeah.
like really good players. Who's the best player you've played against, Blackie?
So the token answer here is going to be Andy Robertson.
Okay, yeah.
But I missed him out, and I've missed him out my team, but I could throw Lawrence Shankland in there. So
Wow,
I
yeah.
played with Lawrence Shankland at Aberdeen. I say played, I trained with him once, and I sat next to him on the bus. But, you know, we spoke to each other because we knew each other from, you know, coming across each other in League Two and then youth development. You know, there was this one, I was actually talking to the boy at work. Shout out to Liam Wheatley, who I'm working with. He's a really nice guy. His brother played for Middlesbrough Reserves. Joe Wheatley actually sorted me out with tickets to go and watch Darlington the other day. So yeah, appreciate that, guys. I was speaking to him about this specific game. I had downed like 4 bottles of Lucozade Energy on the way to Lesser Hampden, and for the first 30 minutes I was incredible, and then I crashed and we got battered like 9-0, and Lawrence Shankland ripped us apart.
Yeah.
Honest, ripped us apart. But, you know, Lawrence Shankland, Andy Robertson, you know, Ryan Christie, you know, throw those boys in there as well. I can't really remember any goalies I've played against. I want to say I played against Liam Kelly, but I actually think it was Blair Curry. Excuse me. We went down to Murrayfield and got battered 19-0.
Wow.
That's not the heaviest defeat of my career. I got beat 23-2 off of St Johnston. But I wanted to go back on. I wanted to just make more saves.
Yeah.
Just make more saves. But yeah, like...
And I'm sure it could have been worse than 23-2, Blackie.
Do you know what? I can't really remember any saves from that game.
Just a blur now.
Just what a lot of them are. But yeah, so like to answer your question, it's probably going to have to be one of those guys, because I can't really think, apart from Shanks, I can't really think about any other. Stephen McLean. I knew I had to mention Stephen McLean. He was very complimentary to me after the Elgin City St Johnston game, you know, because it was like an ongoing battle between me and Graham Cummings, like how many shots he missed and how many I saved. And again, I was shite myself all the way through that game, but I felt amazing. And then, you know, there's a nice picture. I think a fan. It might actually been Paul Jameson that took the picture. But there's a really nice picture of me kind of like organising everybody.
Shout out to PJ.
Yeah, shout out to PJ, another great guy.
Yeah.
And yeah, there's a really nice picture of Steve McLean just standing next to me. And I use that one quite a lot, you know, especially when he left St Johnstone on his own terms. You know, he was really nice to me after the game and that. And, do you know, I always like to talk to the... Sorry, going off tangent. I always like to talk to the sub-goalie if I can get a chance to. And it just happened to be Alan Manus.
Okay.
That was there that day.
Yeah.
And yeah, I had to speak to a lot of them. Won't talk to you, but it was Alan Manus. I was like, nice to meet you. How you doing? Like,
I always remember Alan Manus as the guy. It came about after Alan Main and kind of sounded like Alan Main. So it was like it was just the replacement, and then it was like they went from Alan Main to Alan Manus, and it was like, he's kind of the same. He'll do. He can.
And do you know what, Alan? You might hate me for this, but I don't know if he was. I mean, he's up there with one of, you know, Alan is considered the best St Johnstone goalkeeper, full stop. But you've got Xander Clark and Alan Manus will rival that. And I asked Manus how the Euros were. And he went, "Thanks for asking, pal. Nobody else has asked me." Mm-hmm. You know, it was amazing. What an experience it was. He said it was unbelievable.
Yeah,
and it was just that 5 seconds of humanness.
Mm-hmm.
You know, talking to a professional football, somebody I've watched on the TV that I've idolised as well, and like, I've just had 5 seconds of proper human. I could have asked him how his dog was, and he would have given me the same time of day.
Yeah,
that was incredible.
Yeah,
you know, that whole St Johnstone squad, like Liam Craig ran the show that day, incredible. Danny Swanson beat me to the man of the match because of his wonder strike.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
good team.
Yeah,
really good team.
It was a really good team. I think the year before they had won the Scottish Cup, I think that was 2014. That was the year they won the Scottish Cup, and then it'd been a year, maybe 2 years after that. So they still had a lot of the same players. Mm-hmm. But you know, the likes of O'Halloran, who'd maybe moved on, but Spoonie wasn't playing. Stevie May was away at the time. But I'm sure Stephen Anderson didn't play.
Okay, yeah.
But yeah.
It was Alan Main said Stephen Anderson was absolutely a honking player, so I'll hold you to that, Alan Main.
Well, do you know what, Alan? The two of us can't be wrong. He made a career out of himself, didn't he? But yeah, that goal against Dundee United, just his header, you know. I listened to a lot of Off the Ball. That was something me and my dad grew up watching, you know, and Stuart Cosgrove was a big St Johnstone fan, and they did a segment on Off the Ball, you know, if you could print a commentator's line that will forever go down in history of your club, you know, that line of Chersniak struggling and it's Anderson with the goal, you know, that was St Johnstone's first ever major trophy, and it was Stephen Anderson. Yeah, it was a massive thing, and I feel bad for Chersniak in that moment, because I remember actually seeing him I couldn't get tickets, and then within the last minute Barry Wilson was like, "I'm not going to the game," put his tickets back to the office, and you know, at like 4:30 on the Friday, Kate Taylor phones. Shout out to Kate, by the way, lovely. I love Kate, so much time for her. And she's like, "Blackie, you know, Barry's not going to the game. Do you want his tickets?" Like, fucking yes, please. Yeah. You know, and my birthday's the 15th of May. 2 days, it was the final. And May the 17th was the final. The big thing about that was that Stevie May wore May 17 on the back of his shirt that year, and just to be there and get it. And anyway, so I'm in the main stand, and I'm actually surrounded by Dundee United fans. And, I'm looking at Chersniak, and you can see him down and beaten up. And it was just, again, the humanness in that moment to see Chersniak. But, you've got empathy for the goalie, but elation because you're 1-0 up.
Yeah.
And, why did he come for it? Well, if he didn't come for it, was the result was probably still going to be the same. It was probably still going to be a goal. He's not going to react to it.
Yeah, no, it's the same, exactly.
Yeah.
Okay, last question out of my 14 questions. Biggest achievement in football?
I think it has probably... Do you know what? I'm going to sidestep that. I was going to say my debut at 15, because that's a hell of an achievement, especially for a goalie. But I'm going to have to say that trophy with Dufftown.
Yep.
That trophy with Dufftown. That team, that year, just an incredible team. We finished third and we ended up going up. We got to a cup final against all the big boys, and then to win the Elgin Cup, there was a big hoo-ha about it as well. Apparently, like, Isle of Vale had finished on a better record than Forest Thistle, but the game has been held at Forest Thistle's pitch, so it was Forest Thistle that got into the final as well, and Forest Thistle had beat us in the group 3-0. So it was a big game, and edgy. Like, it was I can not that there was a lot of fans there, but it was tense and it was edgy, and we weren't ourselves. And I just, people forget. Like, I like to bring this up. People forget that our first goals come from me. I've come and punched the corner away, and we've broke up and scored. And that's like, oh, Blackie doesn't come for crosses. Well, fuck you. I've just set up a goal because I've come for a fucking cross, and we've gone on to score it, and we've gone on to win the trophy. So Aberdeen as well, being able to go on trial with Aberdeen, and, it's like Russell Anderson was there, Graham Shinney was there, Johnny Hayes, Kenny McLean, these kind of boys were there. I think David Goodwillie was there at the time as well. But Danny Rogers, I mean, even Jamie Langfield gets a lot of shit, but what a goalie he was as well.
Yeah.
Robbie Much was there, he's now at Ayr, that as well. That unfortunately didn't go the way I wanted it to. Trained the Monday, we had a game Tuesday, and Jim Weir, the gaffer, phones and said, I don't want you training. And I'm like, yeah, sure, you're the gaffer, no worries, I won't train, because it was a heavy load. It was Saturday, Tuesday, Saturday. Played against Berwick. The 21s were playing on the Wednesday, so I didn't go in Wednesday. I didn't go in Thursday because the 21s were off. Yeah. And then Friday, my gran got taken not well. I'm not sure if that was maybe her bowel cancer. It was something, so I chose not. I chose to be with the family instead. So that's unfortunate. But I tell everybody I broke my finger, so we'll edit that out. I broke my finger. That's why I never went back. But yeah, in north of Scotland as well. Like, you think playing for the north of Scotland is such a big achievement, and I didn't. The one game I played was a disaster, and I managed to break my toe, so I didn't actually go back.
Yeah. Any names in your north of Scotland select?
Do you know what? Not that I can remember. No, because they weren't interested in me, and I wasn't interested. A lot of them were Inverness players. Yeah. And just wasn't. I hate that we were 3-0 up, totally against the run of play, and a striker has been giving me the nudge and the punch and the kick at the corner, so I've clipped him as I've caught it. I clipped him, the referee's given a penalty. We lost 4-3. There was Man United scouts and there was Man City scouts at the game, and you're like, fuck, why did I do that?
Big games, them. I don't think the kids maybe realise it, but the adults don't realise how big them games are.
Yeah, I think Ross Jack was really pushing for me to go back. Mm-hmm. I was like, well, I couldn't train because I'd broken my big toe, and but I couldn't kick. It's your big toe.
Yeah.
But the Milnes team as well, that Milnes team that won the North of Scotland Cup, you know, there's only one player, apart from me, there's only one player still playing, and that's Sam Harrison. He's at Elgin. But to win the North of Scotland Cup for a team like Milnes as well, you know, that's a massive achievement. I was a captain of that as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, and yeah, do you know what? Whatever you want, people might laugh, people might take the piss, people will garn. That's just, I don't give a shit anymore. I've learned not to care about other people and what they think. But I've had a good career. Mm-hmm. I've had a very good career. I was talking to my mum about this today, actually. You know, like Stuart Knight is going to have the pleasure of playing against Celtic and Rangers, but that's because he's stuck in the game for so long. You know, Darryl McCarty, okay, didn't play against Rangers, but he was on the bench. He was there, and now he's going to play against Celtic.
Yep.
You know, and I was saying, I wonder if what's going to happen to me if I stick in for long enough. And then I said, well, actually, have I had it? Have I had my luck? Because I played against St Johnstone, played very well against St Johnstone, played against my hero who was Xander Clark, and I played against my other hero who was Kevin Cuthbert when he was at Wraith Rovers. Yeah. And he said some very complimentary things in Northern Scott as well. Mm-hmm. But, you know, I just wasn't good enough to be at Elgin. That's the bottom line.
You gave it a crack though, Blackie.
I tried, and I feel that if I had developed better as a person, I would have stayed there. And if I didn't have what was going on in my personal life, I wouldn't have reacted the way that I did. Yeah. But, you know, people don't know this, but I've spoken to Jim Muir since. Mm-hmm. You know, I was painting by Bell Group, I was painting by Briggs, and, you know, he came up during the close season. So I actually had a nice chat with him. That was the year I went to Lossie. And I had a really nice chat with him, you know, and that's like, football's not personal. No. You know, I did something I shouldn't have done, and I got punished for it. And that's the bottom line. Yeah. That's the bottom line. And I get it as well, because Graham Tatter spoke to me about it afterwards. And he's like, yeah, Jim Muir came to us and said, like, we're going to have to get another goalie. Blackie's making too many mistakes. He's going to cost us. And it's like, that's fine. That's fine. I just want the openness. Do you know, because I was. I mean, that pre-season, you know, after the East Fife game of the last season, the gaffer had come at me and he was like, we're going to go with you as our number one next year. Sorry, that's the wrong season. It was the Clyde season. When we got beat in the playoffs, when Kyle McLeod had to come off. Dylan Easton came off as well. He came with me, pulled me into the office at the end of the thing. We're going to go with you as our number one next year. I personally think you would have done better with one of the goals. Believe it or not, Mark Hurst holds the most clean sheets for an Elgin City goalkeeper, and that blew my mind because, you know, I always felt I was better than him, but he was playing ahead of me because he was at St Johnstone. Yeah. And I want to make this perfectly clear: Hursty is a lovely guy, and I shouldn't have been. I wasn't cold with him, but I should have been warmer with him. But again, that we were the same age, and you know, you want that shirt, and you want to prove that it's that shirt, because I played against Wraith Rovers that year, and I was really good. I played against Spartans, and I wasn't that good, got away with that. Funny, actually, Eddie Malone played for St Johnstone. He cannoned a header off the crossbar in the second half. And, you know, I was like, holy shit, we only beat them 1-0, and I believe it was Archie McPhee in the 90th minute. Yeah. You know, fine margins. You know, I didn't really have anything to do, but it wasn't that good. But played Morton at the start of the year as well in the League Cup, and again, I was really good. First 45 minutes, kept everything. We went in at 0-0 at half time, but then Denny Johnson comes out and scores a hat trick, and we lose 5-0. And you know, you're like, yes, Gaffer, I love what you're saying. Do you know what? I think I would have saved all of them. Do you know what? I think I would have. And that was probably the moment my fate was sealed, when I turned around to Gaffer and went, I think I would have saved all of them. You know, we then play Keith in a pre-season friendly, and I come, just one of these easy pick the ball up. Just pick the ball up, goes through my hands, goes through my legs, the striker runs in and scores. You're like, shit. And then the linesman at the Strathspey friendly has killed me. Crosses come in, it was a little bit slidey. I actually had a pair of Cell Sports on, and they weren't the best. And I've dropped it, picked it up again. I'm nowhere near my goal line. I'm nowhere near the goal line. The linesman puts flag up goal. That's killed me. And then I'm a bag of fucking nerves for the rest of it. I'm a bag of nerves. And then you see the draw for the Betfred, and you're like, St Johnstone, you're buzzing because it's St Johnstone, but then you're like, fuck, I've not had a good start, this could be anything. Falkirk, fuck. Stirling Albion, fuck. Brechin, fuck.
Yeah.
Excuse the language, guys, sorry by the way.
You're more than welcome.
Falkirk was an experience, a nice stadium. You know, I don't know what more I could have done with the goals. I probably could have done more, but I thought it was one of my better games.
Yes.
St Johnstone and Cowdenbeath were probably my two best games that year for Elgin. Kept a clean sheet away to Cowdenbeath. Perfect. Dropped the next day. Go and get another goal in. But again, understandable. I was kind of half expecting it. You know, but then he gets recalled and then we're away to Berwick Rangers. And this is a good story for young goalies. I was given a back pass by Twiggy. Well, not by Twiggy. I was given a back pass, and I always encourage goalies to take a touch and then clear, because it'll bobble over your foot. And so I've taken a touch and I've cleared it. It's hit the striker's foot and it's gone out for a goal kick. No dramas. But Twiggy being Twiggy is in a fucking rage because it's not to his standard. And I get that as a 28-year-old now. I get that, not to his standard. And Twiggy, I appreciate. I'm the goalie I am because of you now, because of your standards. Really, that's true. But yeah, came in at half time and Jim Weir has gone fucking through me. You're like, what's wrong with you? You look scared. You look petrified. You look like you're lost. You know, you look like you're scared to do something out there. And it's like, I obviously didn't react. And my mum says I do this thing. And my partner says I do this thing. I just look at people like I look at them like they're stupid. I look like, I don't mean it, and I really don't mean it. And he was like, take that fucking look off your face as well. I'm like, I'm shitting myself. And in my head, I'm like, yes, I am scared to make a mistake because I'll get crucified for any mistake I fucking make.
Yeah.
You know,
exactly, man.
And then we come to the Clyde game, and, you know, I've headed that ball away. In the moment, I thought was the right thing to do. And I'm going to hang Thomas Riley out here, by the way. You know, if he wins that ball, that Pizzo, St Johnstone player as well, Pizzo, Pierre McDonald, does not volley that over my head. And, you know, people were saying, oh, you didn't even make an effort to get back to your goal. Mate, I was running as fast as I could. I was in treacle. I could not move. I was trying my fastest to get back to that goal.
Pizzo's a fucking brilliant finisher as well.
Brilliant finisher. And, you know, you're like, shit. Of all the things. But Cammy Mackay that year against Arbroath in the League Cup had come out his box, out to the byline, probably in line with his penalty spot, shanked his clearance, and the guy tapped it into an empty net. So why did I get more shit? Yeah. I got more shit because I kept making mistakes. Yeah. Had I gone out on loan and made those mistakes elsewhere, who knows, but I might still be the Elgin goalie. You know, there might have been no need to bring in these other goalies. Yeah. And little victories, like we were saying earlier, little victories, it makes me feel that little bit better that Elgin went through so many goalies after I left. In that period of time, I think they went through like 10 goalies in 3 years before they finally found the exceptional goalkeeper in Thomas McHale. By the way, he is unbelievable. Unreal. And the frame on him as well, proper tapered.
I felt so bad for Tom in his first season because we had Kyle Gourlay on loan, and Kyle Gourlay obviously had an appearance thing for Dundee United. He had to have so many appearances, and it just held back Tom. And then he went way back to England around about COVID time, and I thought, oh no, we're going to lose this guy. Came back, he's unbelievable. He's massive,
brilliant goalie. Brilliant.
He's about 6'4" as well,
and a really nice guy.
Yeah,
you know, I've never had the pleasure of actually speaking to him until coming across him on match day. Yeah, and a really nice guy, really lovely guy. And it's like, see, if I was fitter and in a better condition before I left, I would have picked up the phone and asked Gavin and asked him, look, can I come in and train with you guys? Can I come in and train with Thomas and Ollie? Because I need to shout out to Ollie as well. Part of his warm-up is you hammer this volley at him from like 6 yards on the angle, and he holds it. Every single one of them, all 6 of them, he holds. And then you do the exact same, but from the ground, and he holds every single one of them. And he's like, that's come from Thomas McHale.
Yeah.
And that, if that's the standard that Ollie's got to, that would have been exceptional to go and see and go and be part of.
And yeah, I agree with you wholeheartedly, mate. Absolutely. That's been quite a buzz for the last hour and a bit. Blackie, you've given us some absolute gold in there, mate. My next part's year 1 to 11. Now, you've played with all these players, so it's quite obvious that. I'm going to read through it, and then I'm going to pick out some names, because I think we spoke about like Mark Nicholson and things like that quite a bit. Twiggy, as you call him, for people listening, and we spoke about Soapy, but we'll go Blackie in goals, David Niven right back, Michael Dunn centre back, Paul Kazan centre back, Alan Dempsey left back. Your two centre midfielders are Twiggy and Soapy, and then you've got Dylan Easton as like a cam, and then you've got a front three of Craig Gunn, Shane Sutherland, and Wyness. Your bench is Paul McMullen, Liam Gordon, Chris McLeish, brilliant player, Harry Bandiera.
Yes, good pronunciation.
Marvin Andrews, Paul Harkins, and Ali Gilchrist. You're also the first person to give me a coaching team. I like this. I
couldn't not mention the four of them.
Yeah. So it's so we've got Jim Stables, Charlie Charlesworth, Davey Ness, and James Reid. Okay, so the first name that sticks out to me there is Dylan Easton. Tell me a little bit about Dylan, because I've seen Dylan for a little while at Elgin, and he was a special player.
So I don't know if you guys remember the viral thing, the head challenge into the bin. It first started with Dylan Easton going round the young lads at St Johnstone, heading into the bin. It was his video that went viral, and that's when I, not realised, but that's when I first heard of Dylan Easton. Like, this guy's obviously quite technical. He's the only guy I've seen chip a 6'3" goalie in 7-a-side goals, probably smaller. The St Johnstone lads, so Hursty, Dylan Easton. I'm sure Connor McLaren came up as well with that training session, and Dylan was in my team in this particular incident. Hursty's come out. He's dinked him about 3 or 4 times. That's how good Dylan Easton was. He could just make
little magician,
make magic happen.
Yeah,
And Ian Murray's just done a podcast with Cy Ferry, and he spoke about how you handle somebody like Dylan Easton. And you got to let him do his own thing, and Jim Weir was brilliant with that as well. It's like the Ferguson story about Cantona.
Yes.
They all turn up in their black tie event, and he turns up in a white shirt, and he nudges the other two. He's like, boys, that's class, that's style, that's style. You're like, nobody else would get away with it. No. Nobody else would get away with it. And Dylan, lovely guy.
Yep.
Lovely guy as well.
My next name is, I've got a funny story about him as well, because his mum was actually my babysitter for many years when I was younger, is Michael Dunn.
I love Dunner. I didn't want to sign for Dufftown. I wanted to go to White Hills.
Yeah.
And I didn't want to go to Dufftown specifically because I didn't want to play with Dunner, because I was scared. I was like, fuck, this guy has played with so many good goalies. His dad, Stevie Dunn, he's got standards that he wants of a goalie, 100%. And I don't know if I can meet his standards. So I wanted to go to White Hill, and then Joe Russell was like, no, you're going to Dufftown. Dufftown really want you. We're going to arrange that. It's kind of already done. And I love Michael. I've got so much time for him. I think as a player and as a coach and as a person, you couldn't meet a nicer person. He looks like he's going to fucking kill you all the time.
I have got to say, I've watched him in quite a bit of Highland League over the years. He was a year above me in school, so I played in school teams. Well, I wouldn't have played in direct school teams, but Seafield School, he was there, and his little brother's 2 years younger than me, so we were round about each other and things. But he was a scary guy, and he just. I just remember him screaming at players. Like, yeah.
You're like, shit. So there was one game against Vale. I was playing for Lossie. He was obviously at Vale. And I don't know what's happened, but I've ended up coming for a cross. And I've pulled his shirt. I've pulled him back. Or maybe I've pulled him out the way to get past him. And he just whacked me one with a nut in the back of the head. And everybody's going, and I couldn't give a fuck. I just want to get on with the game. I wasn't willing to fight with Dunner, because I actually thought somebody like Michael might respect me more for not reacting.
Yeah.
And not making a big deal of it. It happens. And then the minute you cross that white line, you're back in the change room, you're best pals.
Yes.
And something interesting I picked up about Dunner as well is he doesn't get nervous. But I know when he's nervous because that's when he shouts at me. He never shouts at me at all, ever.
Yeah.
But there was a game, I don't know. There's one game I want to talk about, but I can't remember the other two that he shouted. The Forest Thistle was one of them. And he was probably right this time. But, he would have a go at me in certain situations because he couldn't have a go at anybody else because they would shrink into their shell.
Yes.
And we would have a back and forth and then it's fine. But then there was the mod game. So this is when we were in the Super League and things weren't going so well. And it was a big game because mod were a couple of points above us. And if we had won the game, we pulled it back. And this is where, young kids, this is where you need a relationship with your centre half. It's a cut back and, like, Dunner's not willing to slide in case he scores. I'm not willing to dive in case it goes past me and, it's a tap in. So he shouted and screamed at me for that. And I gave him a bit back. And then literally 30 seconds later, there's a stoppage in play and we're next to each other, talking to each other about it. Like,
yeah.
Blackie, I'm not going to go in for that because, I want you to take charge of that situation because you've got the better angle for it. I'm like, right, well, see, I thought it was too far out for me. And you're like, sure, fine. No bother, no worries. Like, everything's sorted, And after that, we went on to win the game 2-1. And talking about best saves, actually, 2 of them happened in that game. I was incredible for the last 2-3 minutes. Like, everybody, but there was this one save. Later, the referee or the linesman put his flag up for offside, but I've just stuck my boot out, literally just reacted to whatever was going on, and it's just hit my big toe and gone away. Like, everybody was all over that save, and it must have been a great save. And then laterally, towards must have been seconds to go, the cross coming, I can't come for it. It's come towards me. Dunner's headed away, and the guy's just rifled it at me from a yard. And it's just whapped me just clean in the chest, and you just stand up and you take it. Or you'd want to stand up and you take it. And I've collapsed to the deck hoping the referee's going to stop the game because we're under pressure here, and he did. But, that last 10 minutes of that game is the second best game I've ever played in my life. The other one was that Nairn game. I made 15 saves, we finished 0-0.
That's some record, 15. I think the record for a Premier League game is something like 13, isn't it?
So I'm sure Tim Krul was on 14.
14.
But I wanted to talk about this was Tim Howard at the World Cup. 2014 World Cup was the World Cup of goalies.
Yeah.
And Tim Howard made 16 saves in that game. And you're like, every single one of them, you're like, wow, that is some good going. And that was I struggled for confidence for a long time.
Yeah.
And I thought, well, if I count how productive I am in the game, if I count my saves, I know I can go home and feel good about myself, although we've lost. So that's how I know I made 15. That's one off the world record.
Yeah.
And
unbelievable.
Tim Howard did that over 120 minutes. I did that over 90 minutes.
90, yeah.
And credit to Joe Russell as well. He was very complimentary in the paper as well. People think we have a strained relationship or whatnot, but I've got a lot of time for Joe.
Yeah.
I've got a lot of time for Joe, and I'm really sad to hear about what happened with him at Lossie. And I wanted to reach out, but I didn't want him to think I was being a wanker and yada yada yada. But I hope he sees now that I was probably one of the only people really behind him at Lossie and really wanted him to succeed.
Yeah.
But what the fuck does it matter playing England now? I might never come across Joe again ever. But Joe's a really nice guy, and he was really helpful with me when I was going through my depression.
It's good to hear, man. It really is. Next on my list, we kind of spoke about Gunny, Shane Sutherland. Shane Sutherland's an absolute animal, in my opinion.
We were away to Berwick Rangers, and he scored a hat trick, and he's come on the bus, and he's like, "Oh, guys, got a sore back. Do you know what I think it was? I think everybody was going to Newcastle. It must have been at Christmas time. I think everybody was going to Newcastle for a night out, but myself and Shane and a couple others were staying at home. And like, oh, what's wrong? And he's like, I'm fucking sore back from carrying you lot every week. People, Shane was a really funny guy. He was a really nice guy as well.
Yeah.
And just deadly. But all those strikers, even Dylan Easton, just deadly within 20 yards of the goal.
I always just remember what he would do is he would come short and take the ball, and he'd draw the defender out with him, and then he'd be round him.
Yeah.
He'd maybe pass it back to Soapy. He'd be round the defender, and Soapy would just put a wee ball over or a wee ball round, and one-on-one the goalkeeper. You're not.
The problem you had at Elgin was the fact that you had Shane, Gunny, and Soapy. You couldn't play the three of them. You know, Shane up top himself with Soapy in the 10 was a cheat code, but you couldn't not have Gunny in your team.
Yep.
But having Gunny come in off the right just nullified what Gunny was good at. And you could never. I think Ross Jack did a really good job of it, and I think Jim Weir did a really good job of trying to make the two of them work, you know. And like Soapy in the 10 for me, that's his position. I want Soapy in my 10, but I had my team set out, and then I must have seen something that was Dylan Easton. I was like, oh shit, I forgot about Dylan Easton. So with the season he's having, I can't not include him. Like I said, I missed Lawrence Shankland.
It's unbelievable.
But I wouldn't swap Shanks for any of those three.
No. One of my favourite players I've seen over the last 10 years at Elgin was Chris McLeish.
Yes, Pico.
One of the hardest working players I've ever seen in my life, and hands down that guy would run and run and run and run.
So that's what I was going to talk to you about the Cowdenbeath game. You know, Biko chased everything. That he's part of the reason we got that 1-0, because he just chased everything, every goal kick, every throw. He wasn't actually in the selection. I put Ben Cullen in.
Okay.
And then something about Gene Field Swift popped up on my Twitter timeline, and I was like,
is he back there just now?
I think so. I was like, fuck, Biko. I forgot about Biko. Like, how, like, there's not much between him and Ben Cullen except that Biko will give you that work rate.
Yep.
And he will just run and score. And he a nice guy as well.
Yep.
So was Chrissy Dodd. I feel bad that he's not in the team
And he's
either.
done so much of the dirty work for the likes of
Shane and Gunny.
And he was just, he'd go in, he'd take the heavy challenge, he'd just knock the ball on, and you know, he'd leave it easy for these guys a lot of the time. Paul Harkins, we kind of spoke, he got sent off against Rangers, and I'm a Celtic fan, so I'll go on about this. Elgin actually held on for a 1-1 draw against Rangers, down to 10 men for 45 minutes.
So I believe we were the first team that year to take points off of Rangers at Ibrox.
Yeah.
But then Annan and Peterhead went on to beat them.
Yeah.
Fuck. But that was surreal, you know, and he'll hate me for not mentioning him, so I'll need to shout out Kieran McLean. He was the one that drew the foul for the free kick that led to Duffer's header, to the Neil Alexander juggling act that led to the goal. And I felt awful for Neil Alexander. I actually tried to speak to him after the game. He took on what I was saying, you know, like he appreciated what I was saying, but I was just so delirious that I wanted to go and run and celebrate in front of the fans, you know. And like me and Joe Mallon very rarely embraced each other like men. Like, oh, you get the fist bump, you get the high five after a good set and that, but we weren't like close and hugging and joking, but we hugged each other tight after, you know, that, because that's what it meant to everybody.
Yeah.
It's fucking Rangers.
It's huge. It's huge, mate.
And you know, the first Rangers game, we took the lead. Jamie Duff again, by the way, with a superb goal.
Yeah. Yeah.
Do you know?
And it's the last one I'm going to mention, because he's kind of a tie to, before I go into your coaching team, Liam Gordon. He's got a tie to both your teams. So see, when people hear my life story and things and that, I'm sure they think 98% of it is bullshit. But when I tell people that I know Liam Gordon on a personal level, that we played football together, our mums worked together in the call centre at the Hydro in Perth, people are like, fuck off. Yeah. But we do, to the point, believe it or not, I bumped into him in Tesco the other Friday when I was on the way down to Darlington. Yeah. And it was funny because I walked down to grab a bottle of water around the aisle, and I seen this guy, his fashion sense, by the way, sorry Gordo, but your fashion sense is a little bit iffy. He was wearing this long white silvery trench coat, and I was like, I think that's Liam Gordon. And I grabbed he was at the other end of the aisle, and I kind of looked at him, I grabbed my bottle of water, I walked off, thought, I'm not going to bother him, you know, he probably won't remember. Yeah. So I walked off, went back to the meal deal section at the front, and here he comes round the meal deal, and we stopped and had a really good conversation, and he made me feel a million times better in myself. And I'm like,
That's why you're the St Johnstone captain.
Yep.
Because of the way you speak and the way you hold yourself and the fact you've got time for everybody. But my mum said his mum was a lovely, lovely person as well.
Yep.
And I believe his sister's a lovely person too. But it's the fact that Liam took the time to actually speak to me, and he said, you know, as you can see, I'm not in the best shape. I'm having a couple of issues. I have to get blood tests, you know, I have to go back and forth to doctors and things. And he was like, look, you just got to get through it, mate. If you want to play football, you know, you just got to get through it. Because I said to him, I can't run. I can't run. He says, why can't you run? I says, my legs want to go. My lungs just won't let me. And he's like, you just got to dig deep and you just got to go for it. If you can't run, if you can't run for that length of time, split it into segments. So that's what I do. I can now run up to 15 kilometres, but if I run my first kilometre and stop, second stop, third stop, I stop for a minute, and you know, that's how I get my fitness.
Yeah.
And that's come from just a conversation with Liam Gordon.
It's amazing how things can change like that, isn't it?
Yeah, you know, he just do you know what? This is not the Black 11. This is the good guy 11.
Yeah, I agree with that, mate. We'll quickly touch on your management, because I am aware we're kind of bearing on time a little bit. Out of your four for your management team, which one do you want to give a mention out of Jim Stable, Charlie Charlesworth, Davy Ness and James Reid?
So I'll just quickly tie up. I want to talk about Nessie, but I'll just quickly talk about Chef. Jim and Charlie, brilliant, love them. Sorry for the time, love them. Chef gave me the armband when he came in, when he became the manager. So I've got to mention Chef. He obviously seen something that he liked. You know, he went on to talk about my professionalism that maybe is lacking at that level, and I don't take things that seriously. Yeah. So for him to say that, I was buzzing off my tits. But Nessie, goalie coach, if I could take him everywhere, I would take him everywhere. He gives me zero credit for anything. Like, did you see that save? You should be making it. Fucking hell, Nessie, just give me the credit. Just do you know what? It's like try to get praise from your dad.
Yeah.
But Nessie will make you feel $1 billion. Not even he'll make you feel like you're the best person in the world.
Yeah.
I love Nessie. You know, like Nigel, I love Nessie. You know, I couldn't pick a goalie in my starting 11. That's why I put myself in there. You know, Xander Clark, Joe Mallon, Mikey Fraser, Ross Laidlaw. You know, Cammy Mackay, who, by the way, I think should be Callie's number one. Incredible goalie. Yeah. You know, shout out to Jonathan Dash, who's at the Railway, who's keeping me out of the team just now. You know, he's only 18, exceptional goalkeeper. But Nessie just makes you feel $1 million. You know, he's just a nice guy, lovely guy. And, you know, he took me in and he says, what do you want to achieve with Dufftown? Because you shouldn't be here. He says, you should be playing for Elgin City. You shouldn't be here. What do you want to achieve? I says, I want to be here 2 years. And I'll tell you right now, Nessie, that if we're at Dufftown, I want promotion, I want a trophy, and I want an end of season award, because I want to be the best fucking player in this team, because I know that I can be. You know, and there were so many great players in that team. You know, you get the Stable brothers, you know, unfortunate to miss out. Kelvin Main can run all day. Again, a lovely guy, brilliant footballer. Scott Bowie, excellent footballer. Darren Street could run all day. Jack MacArthur, who's an attacking midfielder being played at right back, fucking phenomenal. Yeah. You know, Michael Dunn, Sean Gare, you know, I wanted to put Gare and Dunner as my back four, but I couldn't leave out Paul Kazan. Yeah. You know, because I grew up watching Paul Kazan as well. Yeah. I couldn't leave him out. You know, like, I have all those players, and Nessie says, right, well, what's stopping you from doing it? What's stopping you from getting that? And we got promotion, we got a cup, and I got 2 Player of the Year awards.
That's what you need, mate. Yeah. Kind of wrapped that up kind of nicely there, Blackie. I do appreciate it, mate. So I've got one question, but I'm going to just quickly say, if you're listening to us on Spotify, there's 3 little dots next to the, I'm saying this right, isn't it? 3 little dots next to the podcast, Football Journals podcast. If you click on that, you'll get a little thing that says rate. Can you please give me some 5 stars? Like
5 stars,
5 stars.
You're still trying to find out who gave you the 1 star yet?
Somebody gave me a 1 star, which is because I've noticed the Northeast Corner has got a recent few 5-star reviews. You're at a 5-star and I'm at a 4.8. So I'm falling behind in these podcast wars.
All
now.
that bragging hasn't gone too well now, is it?
I've got 25 reviews and one person has given me a 1-star. You bitter motherfucker.
I think my favourite conspiracy is when you came out and said, I think it's my mum and she's done it by accident.
But we're also now available on YouTube for people who don't want to pay for a Spotify, even though it's free. I don't understand
Mainly
it.
noodles. That
is pointed at you, Noodles, episode 1.
Do you see the comment I left? I was like, we can count on you for a Patreon subscription
Yeah,
when we set
exactly.
it up.
It's happening. Okay, Blackie, my final question. Because you're a goalie, I've split it into 2 parts. If there was a penalty to save your life, who takes the penalty?
Me.
You take the penalty?
I take the penalty.
Okay. If there's a goalie who has to save a penalty to save your life, who saves the penalty?
Now, this is going to be controversial, but purely because of his penalty saving expertise, I'm going to go with a left field shout with Michel Vorm or Kasper Schmeichel.
First and only ever shout of Michel Vorm on this podcast, I'd say.
Was a baller, by the way. See, when Brendan Rodgers first came into Celtic and he was talking about Craig Gordon or Doris de Vries, you were linked with Michel Vorm, and I was like, go and get him. Go and get him. Go and pay the money to get him, because you would have had him for years. You know, we're exceptionally lucky to have Joe Hart and Jack Butland. You know, and I'm going to mention Dimitar Mitov as well, because he's been the best goalie in the league. Kel Roos as well.
Kel Roos.
Sander Clark, I've barely spoken about as well. You know, Craig Gordon's back now. Liam Kelly. David Marshall. Standard of goalkeeping in Scotland just now is incredible.
I agree.
Can I just give a wee shout out, because I was supposed to mention him?
You go for it, mate.
He's my future brother-in-law, Doug Russell. And Bex told me where you listen to your podcast. So I love the fact that you're going to be listening to me washing your balls, Doug. And congratulations on your engagement, you two. Love that for you.
I do like that. Congratulations, guys. Thank you for your time today, Blackie. I've really enjoyed it. Cracking way to kick off 2024 with the episodes. As I say, I had a wee story for you, why I wanted you to get on, and I think I'm going to finish off the podcast. So, Blackie, when your name popped up, I thought, there's no fucking way this is the same guy. So I Googled you, and it was the same guy. So you are actually part of my most successful ever Elgin team on Football Manager.
Is that right?
Yeah. You were my number 1 for about 5 seasons. And then I replaced you with a 33-year-old Julian Speroni. So,
by the way, I loved Julian Speroni. I thought he was incredible. Another sales goalie, by the way. So I'm glad you made me work. I could never make myself work.
Yeah, I made you work. So things go full circle. We spoke about it a few times tonight, and I like how full circle that has went. I think that was about 10 to 12 years ago I had you.
I love that. Because in Football Manager 2013, when I was Scott Black, I don't know if it was a glitch, I don't know if it was a mechanic, but I was the best penalty taker at Elgin City. I've got a screenshot. My penalty taking skills are 12. Dennis Winus was only 11. Everybody else was below that. So hence,
played professional.
Exactly. So hence why I'm taking my penalty. But you'd send me up for a corner and I'd score. You know, I've got an affiliation with Wimbledon. I know we're running out of time, but I've got an affiliation with Wimbledon, so I started a save with them, signed myself obviously, because I am that arrogant, and I would send myself up for corners and I would score about 2 or 3 a game. You know,
glitched it, mate.
Glitched it. But no, that's awesome. You know, thank you. I appreciate that.
No, the pleasure's all mine, mate. Honestly, you give me some good memories, and thank you for coming on the podcast.
No, thank you for having me. It was worth the journey.
Cheers, pal. Okay, that's us wrapping, mate.